The King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match is considered one of the best games in the series. But none of that matters because we're going to be talking about this. Specifically, this guy. Right here. Welcome to Weird Fighting Games. Episode 17, the Kizuna Encounter. So, who is this guy? SNK has a history of putting cameos in their stages. We don't see much of that these days, but it was something that I loved and really hated. Like, whoa, remember this guy? I mean, that's cool, but man do I wish you were playable. This was my favorite stage in KOF 2K2 so I saw a lot of this dude. One day, I came to find that this guy is from a fighting game. Not really a surprise, since SNK makes 3 types of games exclusively: fighters, Metal Slug, and sports games. I then learned that he's related to Kim Kafan. Yes, that Kim. Everyone's favorite Taekwondo practitioner. Unless you like Jun. Ugh. That was more than enough reason for me to look into this one, so I introduce you to the Kizuna Encounter. Kizuna Encounter Super Tag Battle is a 2v2 fighting game released in 1996 for arcades. The Kizuna Encounter's main draw is its tag-based battle system. In most fighters, you pick one guy and you fight another guy. But in the Kizuna Encounter, it's a team effort. You pick 2 characters and create a team, giving you double the guys. You may well think, it's not such a big deal. In the King of Fighters, you have 3 guys. But we're not playing by KOF's rules here. Each stage has a designated tag area. In this area, you can tag your partner in like in a wrestling match. Each character gets their own life bar, but if one character gets knocked out, that's it. Managing both characters and being mindful of your tag zone is vital to your survival. The tag team shenanigans don't end at tagging because team composition plays a part in all of this too. Characters are divided into set teams, but you can make a team with any 2 characters. Although, certain pairings get special buffs like more damage on certain attacks and better health regen. When tagged out, your partner will regenerate health. There are 5 ranks of health regen, from S for special teams and A through D for everyone else. Every time you tag out, the rank goes down, but it can be brought back up by taunting. Taunting can be cancelled frame 1, so the game encourages you to take full advantage of this mechanic. If you have ever played Third Strike, it's kinda like that. If you find yourself in a pinch with half health and you're in your tag zone, you can swap out fast using emergency tag. A great option to use if you want to tag in and attack at the same time. And, of course, it wouldn't be a team game if there wasn't some sort of team up attack, and that's where these surprise attacks come in. You and your partner lay the smackdown on your opponent before they tag back out and you continue the fight. These tag team techniques have no meter tied to them, so you can use them as much as you want. The tag mechanics really set this game apart from other fighters. While a lot of these features have become standard in tag team fighters, the whole concept of the tag zone is super unique. Usually, it doesn't matter what corner you're in. The pressure is always the same, but in Kizuna Encounter, it's better to be in your corner because you're right next to your tag zone. It gives you a huge advantage while denying your opponent any chance of tagging out. Okay, I know that was a lot of tag team stuff up front, but what's the mano-a-mano fighting like? The Kizuna Encounter can best be described as a mix of Real Bout Fatal Fury and Samurai Showdown with a dash of King of Fighters. There are 3 attacks: punch, kick, and weapon attacks. Also, there are universal overheads, universal lows, and a healthy amount of command normals. Oh, and of course, it's a fighting game, so you gotta have supers. The combo system is fluid, and chaining together devastating combos is a breeze. Punches and kicks can be chained into weapon attacks that can be cancelled into specials or supers. Weapon attacks have great range, but don't go too crazy, because if you're hit by certain moves while using a weapon attack, you'll drop your weapon. You can just pick it back up, but that leaves you wide open. Something that caught me off guard is how floaty the jumps are. SNK fighters are no stranger to various jumps, from short hops to super jumps, but in the Kizuna Encounter, you're going straight to the moon. It's like I'm playing Virtua Fighter. There is a good reason for this. The moon jumps are here to complement the air combos, which feel like they were ripped right out of an anime fighter. Kizuna Encounter also has an interesting take on projectiles. Every projectile has a level. Weaker level projectiles will lose to stronger ones, the trade-off being the stronger ones usually have more startup. Again, not something you usually see in SNK fighters. On the defensive side of things, the roll works like it does in KOF. It goes through projectiles, normals, and specials, but is countered by throw and is punishable at the end of the animation. Spot dodge dodges in place. Perfect for standing your ground when dealing with zoning or weapon attacks. Each character has one guard cancel move. They cost nothing to use, but they can be baited or punished, so you can't go guard canceling every attack you block. Despite never playing Kizuna Encounter before this video, I couldn't help but feel at home. The DNA of many of SNK's previous fighters are integrated into the Kizuna Encounter, yet, despite that, the game still feels wholly unique. While I wouldn't say the gameplay is on the levels of KOF 98, Sam Shell 5, or Mark of the Wolves, it's not that far from that mark. More than anything, I'm reminded of Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, just without the assists. Making the tag system this game's central mechanic was the right call. Without it, this game would feel like a Fatal Fury knockoff, which is exactly what Savage Rain, Kizuna Encounter's predecessor, was. A year prior, SNK released Savage Rain, a fighter that is an almost one-to-one carbon copy of Fatal Fury, but with weapons. It seems like Savage Rain didn't do so well, and so they went in a completely different direction with the gameplay for the sequel, while keeping all but 2 of Savage Rain's roster. In Savage Rain, Hayate wins the tournament and defeats the big boss, King Lion. This makes him angry, so he starts a second tournament to get revenge, but gets inspired after watching some WWE and decides that this time around, the tournament will be a tag tournament. No one wanted to deal with this doofus the first time, so everyone just teams up to jump him. To fill the void of the missing characters from Savage Rain, 2 new protagonists make their debut. Rosa, a rebel leader whose friends have been kidnapped by King Lion, and Kim Soo-il, a Korean detective with a strong sense of justice. Let's address the elephant in the room. Kim is Kim. He's got the same moves, the same super, and the same justice obsession, just with Billy Kane's staff. Who knows, maybe he's Kim's long-lost son. One thing he does have is way more style than Kim ever did. This man is dripped up. As a Kim player, I felt right at home, and the staff gelled with Kim's moveset surprisingly well. Rosa, on the other hand, has huge sword normals like a Guilty Gear character with the hand-to-hand combat of a real bout character. One of her air normals, jumping 6B, is a jumping low. And now I feel like I've seen everything. The 2 ninjas, Gozu and Mezu, share normals, but get this. The red one uses fire, and the blue one, you're not gonna believe this, uses ice. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They also have a double jump like any respectable ninja should. King Leo is a balanced version of King Lion, who, trust me, we'll get to. He boxes and uses a giant sword. His partner, Gordon Bowman, is this big fat dude, and he's not that fun. He has a tonfa, but can also sit on you for one of his attacks. Hayate, the protagonist of Savage Rain, still has his trusty boomerang, and is relatively straightforward. The boomerang sets him apart from other SNK protagonists and gives him a pretty unique moveset. His partner, Max Eagle, fights with a battle axe and wrestling moves, but is unfortunately really slow and short-ranged. However, the 2 characters I had the most fun playing were Joker and Chung. Joker is a clown with an arsenal of wacky attacks, and is everything you'd ever want from a clown character in a fighting game. Also, apparently he's a terrorist. Chung was a real surprise because I usually don't like geriatrics, but this geezer has style. He's got decent range and is pretty fast with that staff. If Chung goes under 50% health, Peepaw gets pissed and powers up, making him faster, more agile, and unlocking the ability to turn people into chickens. The power-up is basically an install, which is another piece of game design that is ahead of its time. This guy just can't be some random old guy. Just, who are you? Terry? Is that you?
Okay!
The last two characters on our roster are the boss characters. The first is King Lion, who is just a cheaper version of King Leo. Despite making it a tag tournament, he fights alone. He already lost alone the first time. Is he based or stupid? You decide. He reads your inputs and will counter you perfectly at any chance he gets. A prime example of SNK boss syndrome. Thankfully, he uses the same combinations of attacks, so you just need to learn the patterns. Still, that doesn't stop him from being any more infuriating. And he has the nerve when he's hitting you with the 10-piece combo to speak the most immaculate English ever uttered on this earth, saying the stupidest things like, "Dynamite! Earth Chopper!" I hate this guy. If you can dethrone the king, you face the ultimate ninja, Drzuul. He makes quite the entrance, stabbing King Leo through the heart with his own sword. Take that, you input reading cornball. He has all of Jezu and Mezu's moves, but cranked up to 11. Yet he's somehow easier than King Lion. Anyway, defeat Jezu and you've survived the Kizuna Encounter.
Game over.
SNK has a history of making some really amazing looking sprites, and the Kizuna Encounter is no exception. The character sprites are big and elaborate like in the art of fighting. Upon defeat, the character's clothes explode in dramatic fashion, which I find a bit much, but SNK just loves putting exploding clothes in their games. I just don't get it. The stages are also filled with beautiful detail, pixel by pixel. The camera will occasionally zoom out to give the characters more space, and that's when you really can admire these backgrounds. Any one of these would make a nice desktop background. My favorite has to be the construction site at night. Another detail worth noting is the stage intros. Every stage has a little vignette that transitions into the fight. These used to be common, but as the years went on, SNK abandoned them, but I always appreciated them because it really pulls you into the atmosphere of the stage. The coolest one has to be the one for Jezu's stage. King Lion's palace transforms right in front of you with a seamless transition. SNK was on a hot streak in 1996. They were just pumping out amazing sprite work like in this game and in The Art of Fighting 3, which is probably their best looking fighter. Can't say the same for the UI though, as it's generic as it gets. Besides that, Kizuna Encounter is a beautiful game and another example of SNK's top-notch sprite work. Outside of the game itself, the Kizuna Encounter has a bit of a legacy. For one thing, the European version is super rare, only having 5 copies in existence, although apparently it's virtually the same as the Japanese version, so unless you're really into collecting, don't waste thousands of dollars on the Kizuna Encounter. Some of the characters have shown up in other SNK fighters. Hayate and Jezu are bonus characters for the PlayStation 2 version of the King of Fighters 11. In the King of Fighters 2000, Kim and King Lion are strikers for Kim and King respectively. You can really see the difference in art style between Kizuna Encounter and KOF. The more detailed designs of the Kizuna Encounter and Savage Rain really don't translate well to the KOF art style. Kind of ironic, these characters show up as assists when their own game doesn't have them. King Lion is one of the playable boss characters in Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Now this is how you do a sprite. If you're a fan of Maximum Impact and want to make Maxima look even stupider than he already does, you can put him in King Lion's clothes. It's certainly something. Kim's Max 2 Super in 2K2 is copied from Kizuna Encounter's Kim, so in a way, it all comes full circle. While browsing the internet and procrastinating, I found out that the Super Neo 29 Type 2 arcade cabinets had a camera function to see your opponent, and the Kizuna Encounter could be played on these cabinets. Over here in the United States, we didn't need a fancy camera, you just looked at the guy next to you. I can imagine nothing good coming out of this, and I question the thought process behind its invention. All I'm saying is, if you wake up super while playing on one of these cabinets, be on the lookout for flying chairs and recently purchased kitchen knives. Out of all of the fighting game devs, I think SNK treats their legacy characters the best, and I wouldn't mind seeing any of these characters in a future KOF or Fatal Fury. Video games haven't been around for a long time, but in the few decades they have, there has been a common occurrence where one genre will get super popular and then fizzle out. That's exactly what happened with fighting games in the 90s. Street Fighter II was the best of everything before it and then some. As a result, we got a ton of fighters, some good, some bad, and most forgotten, like Kizuna Encounter and its predecessor. That doesn't mean Kizuna Encounter is bad, it just doesn't stand out. For fighting game enthusiasts, there's a lot to like, and it's interesting to see how the game was ahead of its time with its unique mechanics and characters, while also blending the best of what SNK had to offer all in one fighting system. However, zoom out with a general lens, and there's really not much here. Never got a real home port, doesn't have any standout characters. I mean, taking Kim wholesale from Fatal Fury speaks volumes, and it isn't as flashy as other tag fighters like Street Fighter vs. X-Men or Marvel vs. Capcom. Although, none of that matters now, because we can look back and admire the work that went into this overlooked fighter and still have just as much fun as you could way back in 1996. Kizuna Encounter is a product of its time, but if it wasn't, it would have never existed. A game like this, with so much experimentation, iteration, and blending of elements, would simply not be made in today's gaming landscape. It would just be too risky. That aside, I have to thank whoever had the idea to take this Kim and put him in the game, and take that Kim and put him in the background of this game, because I would have never known about this game otherwise, and it's a lot of fun. And of course, the Kizuna Encounter is a weird fighting game. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Don't worry guys, King Lion survived getting stabbed in the heart. He's coming back. Kizuna Encounter 3, 1997.